G'day friends all around the world. Welcome to RC Addict. We're here in Thailand for TITC 2026. RC Race Media and Scotty Ernst Productions bringing this live to you over the next 4.5 days. We were ready early. It's Wednesday afternoon. Control practice continues. We were ready early. We thought, why not share a little bonus stream of the last couple of hours of control practice. We'll see how we go, how long we can stay on air for, but that's really what we're doing this afternoon. Free practice, uncontrolled, continues this afternoon. I'll talk a little bit about what we're up to at the moment. We've got our non-boosted GT category out on the racetrack at the moment. I'll talk about that. They'll be followed a little later on by our boosted touring car, and then we'll wrap the afternoon with the last round of free practice today for mod touring, and I'll talk about what that means and what's coming up over the next couple of days. My name is Scott Guyot, here on behalf of, as I said, RC Race Media and Scotty Ernst Productions, and it is fantastic to be coming to you live from RC Addict here. We're in Thailand, in Bangkok, in the northern suburbs, 40 minutes or so north of the city. It's actually been quite a nice day. It's about 35, 36 degrees Celsius. What's that, up around the high 90s in freedom units for anyone that's watching us late night in the USA. Wherever you are in the world, welcome to Thailand. We're going to stop looking at me and have a little look at the on-track action while we continue here with open practice on Wednesday afternoon, and I'll talk you through a little bit of the different classes that we're running. We don't have any live timing available to us, so I can't talk to you about lap times, but we'll pick out a few drivers to follow along. We will have timing tomorrow, but this afternoon is really genuinely folks just a little bonus stream for you because we were ready. It was either this or go to the pub, so we thought why not stick around and share a little bit of open practice with you. So let's go out on track. We'll follow some of these non-boost GT class cars, and I'll talk to you a little bit about this class. Great to have you here with us. Welcome to RC Addict. So this is the non-boost. Well, let me just talk to you about where we're up to in terms of the whole event first of all, and then we'll talk a little bit about this class. It is Wednesday afternoon. It is the last full day of free practice. People have been practicing here for something like 10 days now. Over an extraordinary number of laps have been turned around this racetrack over the last 10 days. People have flown in from all around the world. And things start to get really serious tomorrow as we move from free practice into controlled practice. I'll talk about that in a moment. But the format for the free practice has pretty much been 14 drivers on the track at a time, 5-minute runs, the bell rings, and then drivers immediately leave the track. And you'll see that as soon as the bell goes, and I'll let you know when that happens. You won't be able to hear that probably. The drivers just immediately leave and the next group goes. It's sometimes as short as a 15 or 20 second changeover from one group to the next. And so each category runs for enough 5-minute sessions for everyone to get a run, and then they move on to the next category. So we're in the non-boosted 17.5 class at the moment. And I'll give you a little bit more information about that. And then we'll move into our boosted and our modified touring classes later this afternoon. As I said, this is the last day of free practice. Tomorrow looks a little different. In the morning it's still free practice, but only boosted and modified. Those two classes will get another 3 runs each in the morning, kicking off around 8:45 local time, wrapping up just after 12, and then we'll move into controlled practice. So 1 round of controlled followed by 2 rounds of seating practice. That's on the agenda for Thursday. Again, that is just the boosted and mod touring classes. All the other classes get the day off tomorrow. So boosted and mod touring running tomorrow, Thursday. Free practice in the morning, 3 rounds, and then 3 rounds of controlled and seating practice in the afternoon. I think it's 4-minute runs in the first and then 5-minute runs in the second and third. Again, just the boosted and modified touring. So let's talk to you a little bit about the classes that we've got here at TITC 2026. This is what's called non-boosted. These cars feature a 17.5 turn motor from one of the sponsors. There's a list of approved motors from the sponsors of the event, the competitors choosing from that list. And then they're also limited to a choice of 6 different body shells. So you'll see these look just a little different from our standard touring car bodies, these being the more GT style. So bodies on the list that are being used in this non-boost category the Sumo Power Nissan GTR, the Mercedes AMG GT3. These are all Tamiya body shells. So the rules restrict the competitors to using a Tamiya body shell. There are weight limits, 120 grams the body has to weigh, so you can see full race paint. They need to be cut to the standard cut lines, standard wings, all those kinds of things. So the Sumo Power GTR, the Mercedes AMG GT3, the Tom's GR Supra. Everyone in Australia is pretty interested in Supras. They're about to join our V8 Supercar series. The Raybrigg NSX Concept GT, another Nissan GT body shell. I think that is, no, sorry, that's the Honda. There goes the bell. And so competitors in this group, you'll see them immediately pull in here at the start-finish line. We weren't here when the briefing happened earlier in the week, but I believe that the riot act was read. Competitors were firmly told, if you go past the pit area, once the bell has rung, you will be immediately removed from the rest of that day's practice. So they're laying down the law, and certainly in terms of changeover, there we go. The next group is out on track already, in as long as it took me to tell you about that. So there's a question in the chat already. G'day to you, wherever you are watching from. Like we said at the top, this is just a little bonus stream of some open practice this afternoon. The only place that I'm aware that you can see live timing from the practice sessions is on the MyLaps Speed Hive app. So you can download the MyLaps Speed Hive app. It's not super easy to find the timing, and it's not your normal live timing. So tomorrow we'll have timing on the stream, and certainly from tomorrow afternoon onwards over at the MyRCM website there will be full timing available. But this open practice timing is not being streamed anywhere, any of the normal websites we use, only at the Speed Hive, the MyLaps Speed Hive app. So you can download that app if you want to have a crack at it. I had a crack at it earlier and couldn't find my way to any kind of list, but that is the place where lap times are currently being published. If you've got any other questions, throw them in the chat. We'll do our best to answer. We really are just having a little bit of a talk through what's happening in open, uncontrolled practice this afternoon. This is the 17.5 GT or non-boost class, the third fastest of the three classes. Before we get to the others, let me just a big shout out to those companies that are helping us put this broadcast together. We could not do it without them. Radbody, our leading sponsor for the broadcast over the next 3-4 days. Hobbywing, Sweep, Team Savox, RC Ride, and Speedy RC, who will have a special discount code for you once we start the stream proper tomorrow afternoon. So come back and join us then. Little TITC bonus from Speedy RC store in Australia. So that's big thanks to Radbody, Hobbywing, Sweep, Team Savox, RC Ride, and Speedy RC. You're watching RC Race Media in conjunction with Scotty Ernst Productions. Scotty will be live with us from the start of qualifying onwards. Currently in transit from the US to Thailand, where he'll join us for qualifying on Friday. The GT continues. I've spotted a Nissan GTR. You might see if we can pick up a couple of minutes of follow cam. Every time I find a body that I really like the look of, or a spotted driver that we want to talk about, we'll do a little bit of follow cam action. Not a full production this afternoon, friends, and we won't be doing full follow cam all the way through, but we will pick up a few bits and pieces. So I'm looking at the red, white and blue, just going through turn 2 and now heading to the start of the back straight. Oh, he's just put it in the fence as I started to talk about him. So commentator's curse has gotten in early. It's not even, the stream has not even officially commenced yet as we pick up that Nissan GTR body. I talked about these cars, competitors being able to choose from one of 6 different Tamiya body shells. This Nissan GTR, one of them, one of the all-time great road cars. So we've got a couple of different versions of the GTR. We've got a Honda NSX, a Mercedes AMG GT3, all in the list of approved body shells. It's a beautiful afternoon here. Let me tell you a little bit about where we are. If you've just joined us, welcome to RC Addicts. We've got a car upside down going down the back straight. We'll pick him up live on camera. The warning has gone out on the driver's stand. Car's carrying enormous speed down that back straight. Just blending in with the white line, and certainly nobody slowing down. So if we stick with this for a moment, you might see a little yard sale, a little Wednesday afternoon parts sale. There's no real marshalling happening today, so it really is up to a pit crew or someone to run out onto the track and We see Australia's Lockie Pearson doing the marshalling on that occasion. So yeah, we're in Bangkok in the northern suburbs, about 40 minutes north of the CBD. RC Addict, the host here for TITC, the Thailand International Touring Car Championship. Been running since 2003, the first running of the event, originally hosted over at RCS Speedway, which is actually, I think, not too far from here. It's now closed. Did host a World Championship there as well in 2008. That very famous Reinhard v Hara pass, maybe one of the most watched RC racing clips ever. So Glenn Wilson, g'day to you, just joining us in the chat. Yeah, timing for tomorrow will definitely be on the agenda. As we said, just a bonus kind of little bit of vision of free practice this afternoon, so we're not able to get timing up and running, but timing will be with us from tomorrow. And myrcm.ch is the website, myrcm.ch. That'll kick in from tomorrow afternoon with controlled practice. At the moment, as I said earlier, you need to download the MyLaps Speed Hive app and search your way through there to find any timing from today. It's a little bit tricky to find, but full timing will be running with us from tomorrow. Yeah, we've had a go at downloading that app, friends, and we could find individual transponders and lap times for them, but we could not find any lists. So if you figure that out and you can work out how to share that in the chat with others, how to find any results lists on the Speed Hive app, please let us know. There's a few photos around of timing screens here. The timing screens at the venue just showing a rolling display of fastest laps across for every competitor, their fastest lap. So all we can really tell you from that is that Mikkel Orlovsky is the fastest man around here so far in the mod touring class, but beyond that it's a little tricky to get too much timing for you. But RC Addict has been the host venue here for PRTC for I think more than a decade now. I've been at Huge RC once or twice, and then before that largely around the corner at RC Addict. As we're saying, we've just this morning recorded a venue walkabout here just to show you this incredible facility at RC Addict. If you've not been here before, keep an eye out for when that video drops on the RC Race Media YouTubes and social media. Oh, we've got one in the fence down the back straight. We might see if we can stream that facility tour after the last heat, after the last group of free practice this afternoon. We'll come back to you on that one. But an incredible facility, pit areas crammed in everywhere. There's 3 different hobby shops. There's food vendors. There's half a dozen, 6 or 7 air-conditioned site sheds being used for extended pitting areas. You got to join us for that tour. It's an amazing facility. It's my first time here, having just been in the country for 24 hours, and it was gobsmacking to walk around here yesterday afternoon and just see what is crammed into this RC Addict facility. In terms of the track itself, this layout we're running, and you're kind of following along as we continue with non-boosted GT category free practice. This is the kind of traditional, I suppose you might call, the classic RC Addict layout. Ran this same layout for a 200mm Nitro World Championships a few years ago, but in the other direction. But this is the kind of classic RC Addict and therefore TITC layout in this direction. Grip is super high and comes up through the afternoon as you start to see shadows lengthening across the track. Certainly over in the left-hand corner now, we're starting to get some shadows out onto the track, and within another hour or so, the track will be in full shade. And as the temperature just comes off the surface of the track, the grip levels skyrocket, the lap times plummet. It's called happy hour here in Thailand. That is all about the lap times that can be generated here in the last hour or two of the afternoon. That all lies in front of us as we get to the boosted and mod touring classes. A little bit of Lexan trading there. A couple of key parts of the track as we've sat and watched practice today. Just follow along here down the back straight. I'll pick out a couple of key parts of the track as we finish this lap off. The close of this big sweeper here, this kind of late apex right-hander is one. The second, really, this braking area through that chicane into the tight left. And the third here, the very fast right into a big stop left to sort of just after the start-finish line. They're really 3 critical areas of the track in terms of speed, but also potentially passing opportunities. We'll talk about that all across the weekend. So much to look forward to here. Patrol practice kicking off tomorrow afternoon. I'll be with you again for that. Scotty Ernst joins us live from the start of qualifying on Friday morning, and Scotty will be your host right through the remainder of the weekend, 5 rounds of qualifying and all of Sunday's finals. As that bell rings out again, and once again, the GT non-boost category cars in that group roll in, and you'll see once again it's about a 10-15 second turnover to the next group of cars. We've already got that next group starting to roll out. Pretty much modern touring car chassis underneath the body, so there's nothing controlled about the chassis. Full touring car style chassis underneath the body. It's the body's tyres, electronics that are controlled. I think there's about 3 different speed controls in use, a handful of different motors from 4 different sponsors of the event, and then those 6 Tamiya body shells that can be chosen. So it's almost a unique TITC class, this one, but equivalent to the kinds of spec classes. In fact, I think I may have led you astray. We might have moved on now to front wheel drive. Let me just see if I can work that out. I think we probably have. No, maybe not. Maybe we're still on non-boost. Ah, yes. Little bonus coverage here from TITC as pre-practice continues. If you've got a question, feel free to jump in the chat or even let us know where you're watching from. Not our full coverage. We'll be ramping up coverage across the next 4 days, but we thought a few of you might be interested to see a little bit of action from this afternoon's open practice sessions. Coverage brought to you by Rad Body. Great to have those guys on board, by Hobbywing Electronics, Sweep, Team Savox, RC Ride, whose office space we're using here at RC Addict, and Australia's Speedy RC. And as I said earlier, we'll have a special TITC discount code from Speedy RC, which we'll share with you from tomorrow afternoon onwards. A little bit of, again, trading of body panels there. It's been remarkably clean, actually, the practice sessions. As I've sat and watched trackside today, I've been really impressed by the etiquette, if we can call it that, on display. We'll see whether that holds up once we get into qualifying and finals, but generally speaking, people have been pretty good at letting faster cars go, and there hasn't actually been a whole lot of car-on-car contact. So we have one lose a wheel right here at the start-finish line. That's his practice done. This is the last round of control practice for this GT-style non-boosted 17.5 class. They'll have a day off tomorrow, and next time we see them on track will be Friday when qualifying commences for them. Some of these drivers, I've been saying before, having been here for 6, 7, 8, 9 days, practice, practice, practice. I asked one competitor earlier if he had had any days off, and said he took one morning off, but the whole rest of the time, and that was someone who'd been here for 8 or 9 days, just felt like he needed to be here at the track, just turning laps, keeping in touch with the layout and the surface as the track evolves, and that's one of the real features of TITC. And we'll talk about that more, and we'll ask some of the competitors across the weekend about that as we move into qualifying. We start doing some post-race interviews and some walkabouts. We'll talk with some drivers about the way the track evolves, but one of the real features of this event is how quickly the track changes across one day and then day on day. We've had a couple of drivers talk to us about how your car can be amazing one day and terrible the next. We had one mod driver who stopped by earlier to tell us how good his car had been in the second round of free practice this morning. We all came out and watched in the third round of practice to see this amazing car, and it was terrible. That's how quickly the track can change, and drivers just trying to work to stay on top of ever-changing track conditions. as temperatures change, as humidity changes, as debris rises and falls, as the sun is on the track or not. Not a lot of cloud cover. It's been pretty clear today, around that 35, 36 degrees Celsius mark, just under 100 Fahrenheit. And the shadows starting to lengthen across the track slowly. Got one in the bushes down the back straight. And there goes the bell for the end of that group's practice. And the next group gets set to roll out. So we continue with GT non-boost, 17.5 as I've said, controlled tyres, motors, speed controls, small selection of motors and speed controls to choose from, and a small selection of body shells in the more GT style than we are used to seeing at touring car races around the world. It's often said that the TITC is the biggest or the most important annual touring car race in the world. Easy to see why. World-class field. Certainly in our mod and boosted class, and we'll talk a little bit about that boosted class when they start to come out. But a huge number of entries. I think we're in the 350-ish entries. Drivers coming from all over the world to practice. And this year, certainly with World Championships just 6 weeks away, the race takes on even more importance than it might normally. I was going through the list of past winners in the modified touring category earlier this morning, doing a little bit of research. The event's been run since 2003. We missed a couple of years through COVID, so I think this is the 22nd or 23rd running of the event. There's a little trivia for those of you who might be joining us this afternoon. Here's the list of past winners. Only 3 of them are not here this weekend. So of all of the 22 editions of this race, only 3 past champions are not here. Timu Lino, Mean and Surakan, the 3 who have won. Surakan, in fact, winning twice. He won the first 2 editions of the race, 2003, 2004, right when he was on absolutely the top of his game, winning world championships and winning races all over the globe, Surakan, and taking the first 2 editions of the race here. There have been 3 one-time winners of the race who are here this weekend. One at Mark Reinhardt, multiple times a world champion, but only one time a winner here at TITC. Ronald Volker, likewise, has won so many races, world championships and more all across the globe, but only one time, which gives you an idea just how hard this race is to win. One of the drivers I talked to earlier described this as the hardest touring car race in the world to win. Mikkel Orlovsky, the other one-time winner, who is here this weekend, of course, he has a 100% win record, showed up last year for the very first time, did what is said to be impossible to do, to win on your first visit to Thailand and to the TITC race. He did a phenomenal job. So he's a 100% record, but a one-time winner. Then we've got some 2-time winners who are here. Alexander Hagberg's won a couple times for X-Ray. Andy Moore continues to be front-running driver, and fantastic to see Andy. Got to have a little chat with him earlier today. He's been living in Thailand for the last 8 years or so. Doesn't get to travel to loads of races these days, but doesn't miss this one. Twice Moore has been the winner, and one time a world champion as well. So he's here. Akio Sabue, the Axon driver, he's won twice in the last 5 or 6 years. Once I think pre-COVID and once post-COVID. And then we've got the 2 that stand alone at the top of the list. 2 drivers here this week, each having won this race 4 times in the past. Could one of them stand alone at the top of that list at the end of this weekend? It is possible. Atsushi Hara has won 4 times from the 2000s through to I think it was around 2012. I haven't got the full list in front of me. Around 2012, his last win. And then Bruno Coelho, of course, having won 4 times here. Came last year with the new prototype Infinity car. Early on in the kind of opportunity to get real track time with that car, they almost were testing it in public at this race. But now with the car in full production and a year of experience under his belt, we definitely would expect to see Bruno be a real contender over the course of the weekend. So that's just the a little tour through some of the history of the event in terms of the winners of the modified category. And like I said, it amazed me to think as I went through the whole 23, 24-year history of the event that only 3 past winners were not here contesting this weekend. I haven't added up the number of World Championship wins in the field, but there are a lot. That's the technical term. There are a lot winners in. Of course, in touring, there is a job for someone in the chat. That's a great job for someone in the chat. Tell us, work out for us how many World Championships there are in the field here this weekend. I'd like to say there'll be a prize, but there won't. Other than adulation from the chat all across the world. Enormous respect. That is boosted, non-boosted. So that is a wrap on practice, open practice for the non-boosted category. Some of those drivers, as I said, been here 7, 8, 9 days, and they are now done. So non-boosted, the next time we'll see those guys in those GT-bodied 17.5 cars will be Friday's qualifying round 1. And that takes us to something, again, very unique to TITC and something that is very cool to watch. And there's just one group of these, but this is the rally class. So these cars all running under the body shell, a Tamiya TT02 rally chassis, I think it is. I'll check that. I'll get my details correct, but it is a Tamiya rally chassis. Let me just get my notes right here and tell you the correct information. That is any Tamiya rally chassis, 10 scale and M size chassis designed for rally. So any Tamiya rally chassis and a range of rally style body shells, and they're running a treaded tyre. And one of the real features of that is serious drifting and wheel spin. I've got a couple of cars that I want to pick up as we're on board with a Lancia here through that infield, that left-hander, and onto the front straight. Beautiful drift sideways. I mean, they're so cool to watch. They're nowhere near as quick as the fastest touring cars we'll see in a little bit, but super fun to watch as we stay on board with this Lancia down the back straight. Actually was reading yesterday that Lancia are bringing back the Delta Integrale HF nameplate in 2026 or 2027. The rumours that I was reading are that it will be an electric car, something a little different, a little unusual, but we have seen Lancia starting to return to the world of competition, and to see that Delta Integrale HF nameplate return as we follow on. Oh, gorgeous traction roll there. I thought he was going to drift that perfectly. So that's the Lancia. So we're picking up this gorgeous gold body shell. This is driven by Masayuki Miura, famous name in the world of RC, particularly known for his design chops. I think heavily involved on that side of it, but he's here racing this weekend, a couple of different things, but he's been one of the drivers I've been really enjoying watching in the rally free practice today. He's not afraid at all of getting the thing sideways and wheel spinning, just like every rally fan thinks every rally car should be. Not the way, of course, World Rally Championship cars are when they're on bitumen. They're all gripped up and good, but Miura here, we'll see if he gets the... Look at that. Absolutely spectacular. Have you seen a better drift? It's like he could hear that we're talking about him here on the stream. Miura, it's just been suggested that was a reverse commentator's curse. We talked about him. He did something very, very special. He's just, I don't know if he's pulling off there or if he's just probably getting in behind one of his mates. You can almost see the smile on his face from here as I look over towards the driver's stand. He's chattering away to the guy next to him as he worked his way in this traffic. Just going inside a Toyota Celica GT4. How about that? I think Miura's car might be a Ford Focus or a Fiesta. It's a bit hard to tell from the pure. He's got a Subaru WRX on the inside. So we've got Ford, Subaru. Oh, Miura's in the bushes. Bounces off. Lance. This should be serious practice, but of course it absolutely is not. This guy's having a great time. And super entertaining as we go on board with the Subaru WRX. Perhaps the most famous name plate model in all of the history of World Rally, except of course the phenomenal Ford Escort and Datsun 1600s of the 1970s, but that just shows you how old I am. So this battle, we've got Subaru, Lancia, and Mura in that gorgeous gold. I'm pretty sure that's a Ford body shell. I'll have to get a closer look at it later on. I don't think these guys are too worried about lap times at all. If you look closely at the back of Mura's car when he's going away from us, a little bright flashing LED right down low on the bumper. Almost looks like a little bit of an exhaust, exhaust kind of sparkling, and as he gets sideways again coming out of that hairpin, throws it sideways in the Lancia to the inside. Mura says, no thank you, I'll take it back. And the bell rings. That is the end of free practice for our rally category. I'm pretty sure there was only one group. There might be two. No, they haven't. We've got something equally special for you about to hit the track in just a moment as we work our way through these lower classes and get ready to go with our high performance touring car classes in just a little bit. I'll be right back with you. So Scott Guy with you here on a Wednesday afternoon from TITC. A little bonus content. A little kind of, we were ready ahead of schedule, so we thought why not share a little bit of open practice. And if you can see the track on that wide shot at the moment, another one of the very special TITC specialist classes. This is the ladies class. So women drivers and a one make category. I'm going to see, I don't even know if there are any rules for this. Yes, there is. The ladies class. So these are Tamiya GF01 WR02 chassis only, running the Tamiya torque tune motor and a hobby wing quick run brushed speed controller. So they're using all the standard body shells. These are the kind of comical series, if you like. Jeeps and Hornets and Grasshoppers, and just about everyone running this Ute body shell, these tiny, tiny little wheelbase cars. They've been really fun to watch, and again, I don't think the ladies are too worried about using this practice session to dial in setups or lines or lap times. They run around together exactly like this for the whole 5 minutes of their run time. It does take half an hour or so to get down the back straight at this speed, I'm not going to lie, but this is a category that I think I could get behind this. Unfortunately, I'm not a lady, so I'm not eligible for this one. Oh, gets two wheels inside the curb. So we've got one upside down. The TITC, known of course as being one of the hardest touring car races in the world to win, but also home to a whole range of different support classes or categories of racing. And we've just seen the rally cars. We've earlier seen front wheel drive. Just before we came on air, they wrapped up, and the non-boost GT class and the Porsche, the Thailand Porsche Super Cup, all of those different categories. And this, the ladies class, running these Tamiya Comical Series chassis. There's some rumours going around that there may be a jump added to the track for the rally car class across qualifying and racing. I'm not sure if that applies for the Comical Series cars as well. I can imagine that would cause all sorts of grief for these cars if they had to deal with jumps. It's also the only time in the schedule where there's a kind of safe window for the track crew to get out and just do a little bit of tidying up. The touring car class is so quick, and the turnaround in between heats so fast that the track crew never getting the opportunity. So while we've got the ladies out for their last run of open practice, just tidying up a couple little bits, you'll see the track crew in the background tidying up a couple little bits of the track fencing. Looks like we're lining up for a practice start here. But just one more to come and join in. I think there'll just be another couple of minutes of practice. Here we go. Wheel stands off the line. Which reminds me of a story from back in my competitive days. You knew your two-wheel drive buggy was ready for racing the following day if you could go and pull wheel stands in the car park. You knew it was gripped up and the suspension was just right, the clutch was just right, and the horsepower was good. Probably not the fast way, but certainly what we used to do in hotel car parks at midnight on a Friday night. That is a 3 comical pile-up. Marshals coming running from everywhere. Got one of the young local crew getting out to get the ladies back on track. So yeah, if you've just joined us, friends, this is just a little bonus live coverage of Wednesday afternoon's last round of open practice. There's a little more open practice Thursday morning for only our boosted. We'll talk about those shortly, and our mod touring categories. For all the other categories, this is it. This is the end of practice. Qualifying starts on Friday. Coverage coming to you here from RC Race Media and Scotty Ernst Productions. Our first time working together at TITC. Fantastic to be able to come and bring you the coverage of this event. Full coverage for us starting tomorrow afternoon, and particularly Friday morning with qualifying as Scotty joins us. Scotty Ernst will be in the booth for the rest of qualifying and finals across Friday, Saturday and Sunday. We'll bring you all the controlled practice Thursday afternoon as well. That's the end of free practice for the ladies category as they head off, and we get into the second fastest. So we'll just stick with the live shot for a little while. I'll talk to you a little bit about this class and some of what we've seen and see what we can get up to. I'm going to get some information for you here and some past results, and we'll talk a little bit about. So this is called boosted touring, and these are running 13.5 ton motors. Again, motors chosen from the list of motors of companies who are sponsors of the event. So this 13.5 ton boosted category. Otherwise, normal touring car rules. So speed controls are free, boost, turbo, all of that stuff is free. So it is not like a normal blinky spec class that we're used to seeing all around the world. This is a unique TITC spec category. 13.5 ton motors, boosted speed controls, and you can see once we go on board here, as we go on board, and you'll see down the back straight, these are anything but spec class kinds of performance. I've been told that the car's hitting just on 100 kilometers an hour down the back straight here at RC Addict in this category. And a real mix of some of the best known spec category racers from all around the world and some incredibly quick local drivers. Unwritten rule that once you've won the spec class here, you are discouraged from racing spec again. I don't think it's a firm rule, but my understanding is that's the kind of unwritten expectation. Once you've won the spec category, you move on and only race modified. So we don't see a whole load of repeat winners as we have seen in the mod touring class, and we just talked through those a little earlier, and we'll do that again later on. So let's just talk through briefly some of the past winners of this category. We'll talk about all this stuff all the way through the weekend. We're going to be broadcasting from tomorrow afternoon as we pick up the final rounds of controlled and seating practice right through until the conclusion of racing on Sunday afternoon. But all seating and control practice tomorrow afternoon, all 5 rounds of qualifying on Friday and Saturday, and big Sunday finals day from, I think we'll be on air from around 8:30 in the morning local time right through until around 5:30, 6 p.m. at the conclusion of racing. We'll cover all the races. We'll have post-race interviews after as many qualifying and finals rounds as we can get people to chat to us. We'll have some live walkabouts. We've already got in the books to share with you a little later on a full tour of the facility, but all of our full normal coverage kicking off tomorrow, and in particular going full coverage from Friday morning with the commencement of qualifying as Scotty Ernst joins us. So that is that's the info for you in terms of coverage. This afternoon, a little bonus. We'll be back on air tomorrow afternoon for all of controlled and seating practice and our full coverage with post-race interviews and Scotty Ernst on the box from Friday morning. So this is the 13.5 boosted. It's the second fastest class here. Nicholas Lee, now running modified, well-known Nicholas Lee with X-Ray. He's a past winner in this category. Let me see. If we just talk about over the last kind of 5 or 6 runnings of the event, I've got some results here in front of me. Max Mackler taking the win here for Automatics in 2019. Dominic Vogel for Automatics again in 2020. Tim Wall for Guess What? Automatics in 2023. Simon Lauder, Guess What? Automatics in 2024. So 4 years running for Automatics taking the win. Max Mackler 19, Dominic Vogel 2020. Of course, the event not run in 2021, 2022. Tim Wall in 2023, Simon Lauder. And then Soren Sparbia taking the win for Mugen over Lucas Allerbrook last year, 2025, and Adam Izay was on the podium last time around. So that's kind of to give you an idea of the pedigree, the quality of the drivers who have been at the front of the field in this 13.5 boosted class. As I said, the kind of unwritten rule, the general expectation is that once you have won this category, you move on and you don't run in it again. Let me see if I can give you a little bit of an idea of some of the drivers that we're seeing across this category this week. I'll pick out a few of these as the first group comes to an end. So folks, if you've just joined us, welcome. Question that's popped up in the chat about live timing. Unfortunately, live timing not being broadcast here yet from the venue, so we're not able to share that with you. You can find some timing over on the Speed Hive app, the MyLaps Speed Hive app, but general live timing, leaderboards, all that kind of stuff is not available to us to share with you. Live timing will be available from the commencement of controlled practice tomorrow. So we will have controlled practice, and of course all through qualifying we'll have live timing here, and it will be online at myrcm.ch. So myrcm is the timing platform being used here, and it will be live there from the commencement of controlled practice Thursday afternoon, and certainly right through qualifying and finals. A bit of trouble at the end of the back straight in that super fast sweeper. That's our 13.5 boosted category. This is free practice. I spot Adrian Wicasano out there from Indonesia. Adrian, the owner of Westside RC Raceway. See Martin Hoodie as well. We might try and pick up Martin. So we're just going on board with Martin Hoodie at the moment, X-Ray designer and team manager. In fact, he just as we crossed over to him, he got caught up in a little tangle, and he's got a body tuck there, front bumper. We'll stick with him and see if they can resolve that, because I wouldn't mind picking up a couple of laps with Martin. His car's been looking pretty tidy right through today, so if we get him down the back straight, as I said, these cars hitting speeds of up around 100 kilometres an hour down this quite long TITC back straight here at RC Addict. As Lexan, the sound of colliding Lexan rings out through the venue. There's a little trouble there in that sweep at the end of the back straight. So Hoodie in front of us at the moment. Plenty of real estate all around him. No one immediately in front or behind, so he can settle into a bit of rhythm. He did, as I said, got caught up in a little tangle just as we crossed to him. So whether he's carrying any kind of body damage that might be affecting the car, a bit hard to tell. This is one example, just one of the drivers we're keeping an eye on over the course of the weekend. Of course, we'll know a lot more about who's going fast tomorrow afternoon once we are officially on the clock, once tech is in operation, all those kinds of things we'll get a chance to see. So let's have a look at Hoodie continue to work his way through a little bit of traffic now. I spoke earlier about how in general the on-track behaviour's been pretty good and people have been making way for faster cars, and we'll see if that continues. It does look like it's the case this time, with Martin nicely working his way past 3 or 4 cars on that lap and continuing on his way. So that's Martin Hoodie just getting in trouble. That is probably the real risk here at TITC. The speeds are so high that if someone in front of you gets in trouble, as we just saw there, there's nowhere left to run. And Martin pulling in there to, again, have the front of that body untucked and just check on conditions. A little bit of speed differential in this class too. It's not some of the other lower, slower classes. We've seen cars be all but identical. Oh, upside down car on the front straight. We saw a close. So the shouts ring out. There's not really any sort of race direction going on today. It really is free practice. So there's not a lot of control. There's no marshalling. There's no expectation. It is only controlled in the extent that the driver's stand is cleared every 5 minutes and drivers sign up to get a practice spot in their category. Just got the information for you on the Speed Hive link. So this is actually coming from Andrew Shapland. So it is speedhive.mylaps.com. So if somebody wants to find an actual direct link, and you can share that in the chat. My tech skills have let me down, but that is where you can find some timing information, speedhive.mylaps.com. Let me just recap on where we're at. If you've just joined us, welcome. A little bit of bonus coverage here on Wednesday afternoon at RC Addict for TITC 2026. Delighted to have a few of you jumping in to check out the action. Of course, it is just free practice. Timing is not being broadcast, certainly not available to us, as I've said. That will change tomorrow afternoon, Thursday afternoon, as we move into controlled and seeding practice. Then 5 rounds of qualifying across Saturday and Sunday. Friday and Saturday, I should say. Finals on Sunday. Coverage coming to you from the team at RC Race Media in conjunction with Scotty Ernst Productions, and with huge thanks to our broadcast partners, Rad Body, Hobby Wing, Sweep Racing Team Savox, RC Ride and Speedy RC. First time we've certainly had the opportunity to bring this race to you, and I think one of the very few times, potentially the first time, TITC has ever been broadcast live from the start of qualifying right through. G'day to Royd Scott RC in the chat. He's just loving the quality of driving here and comparing it to Logan RC back home in Australia. Shout out to you, mate. Great to have you with us. So it is, as I was saying, it's open practice winding down here Wednesday afternoon. We're getting into the time of the day that is known locally as happy hour, as the shadows continue to lengthen across the track. We'll see lap times. If we could see lap times and share them with you, we would. We can't, but lap times go down and down and down. Trouble on the back straight. We've got one upside down on the back straight. It's tricky for us to even be able to tell you really who we're looking at. We don't have access to any kind of timing screens at the moment, so we're just bringing you a bit of action, sharing some of the insights and stories here with a little bonus Wednesday afternoon content. So stick with us right through to the end of open practice this afternoon, and once the last modified touring group rolls, we'll be premiering the worldwide exclusive premiere of our RC Addict facility tour. So we'll wrap the day with that. We took a tour this morning all the way around the facility. We poked our head into all sorts of rooms and places without permission, into pit areas, and checked out the local food store. I'll show you what I had for breakfast. All of that is ahead this afternoon as we take you on a tour around the RC Addict facility here at TITC 2026. We're coming to you from Bangkok. We're in the northern suburbs, about 40 minutes north of the CBD. What looks like any other suburban street here until you take 2 steps off the footpath into this incredible world-class racing facility. So it's open practice continues. It's 4:40 local time here, 4:40 local time, wherever you're watching in the world. If it's late in the evening in the US, if it's early evening in Australia, if it's early in the morning in Europe, great to have you with us for a little bit of a preview, if you like, of all that lies ahead. We're just getting our systems warmed up, getting our camera warmed up as Matt follows along a little bit, gets that right arm into touring car mode. Fantastic opportunity for us to come and share this race with you. We've been excited about this ever since we found out it was a possible opportunity. We're just going to do a big shout out to Scotty Ernst, the one and only. It's 3:40 a.m. where Scotty is. I don't even know where that is. It must be East Coast USA or somewhere like that. Scotty, greetings to you, mate. You need to get here and take over the microphone. We look forward to you joining us right through qualifying and finals Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The one and only Scotty Ernst will be here in the booth at TITC. It's a race he knows well, history of the race he knows well, and I know we'll be looking forward to sharing so many stories across the weekend with you all. He's about to jump on a plane, so Scotty, travel safely. We'll see you in 36 hours or so. Long trip, multiple flights, several countries for Scotty to get here to join us. We look forward to his arrival ahead of qualifying on Friday. The next group rolls out. Boosted qualifying continues. We're gonna pick up a little on-track action here with Australia's Lincoln Cod, one of the rapidly emerging young talents from Down Under. As free practice continues here on Wednesday afternoon, we'll stick with Lincoln for a few laps and see how he's going. In fact, he's got I was about to say he's got one of his fellow young Australians right in front of him. But then Logan got caught up. So we'll stick with Rintoul. Cod, that is, I should say. Got my young Australians confused. So Lincoln Cod running for RC Maker here this week. Plenty of speed on board down the back straight. We do see a little bit of speed differential in this category. 13.5 motors, as I've said. Competitors choosing from a list of motors that are available from event sponsors, so it is not an open 13.5 situation. It's also not necessarily completely spec rules, so there are kind of few options that people can play with, and then speed controls are not controlled, so this is not a spec blinky style touring car category. This is open, hence boosted 13.5, so cars hitting up towards 100 kilometers an hour down the RC Addict back straight, and grip continuing to rise here as the heat of the day just starts to ebb away the tiniest little bit. We've now got the whole front section of the track in the shade and the left-hand sweeper onto the front straight, so we'll see traction levels continuing to climb as the shadows continue across the track. And while we're on young Australian chargers, just because there's two of them in this race, Logan Rintoul we're picking up with on screen now in the blue and white. Also another one of the RC Maker squad. Yeah, one of a few drivers out here rocking race paint. We always like to see race paint in. Just gets a little free pass there with the cars in front of him getting together. One of the defining characteristics of this open practice sessions is that there is no marshals, there's no marshalling, so it really is up to pit crew or anyone who's standing trackside to jump out. Of course, that all changes once we get into the organised part of the week, but this has genuinely been just open practice. The track is cleared every 5 minutes. Drivers can sign up for a time slot within their category, but beyond that there is no control whatsoever to what we're doing. So we go back on board with Logan Rintoul. Just as I say that, he pulls in. So there you go. Commentator should not say things like that. But we're getting towards the end of the run for this group. Another of the defining characteristics of this event and what we've seen over the course of today is just how quickly the track conditions change and how quickly cars move in and out of their performance and tuning window. I shared this story a little while ago, half an hour or so ago, of Yeah, so track conditions changing really rapidly and cars moving in and out of the performance window. One driver came and spoke to us earlier and talked about how his car had been amazing. And we went and watched it in the next run, and it was not amazing. Pale green. Down the back straight, pale green. Yep. So we're on board with Tim Hillier, the pale green here, just for the last couple of corners of Tim's run. There you go. We did get a few laps with Tim. So friends, we'll do our best. If you've got some people you want to see, give us a yell, but it's a little bit tricky before we get into kind of full production with timing, etc., for us to kind of exactly know who's who. This is, as I've said, open practice. A little bonus coverage, a little bonus Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday morning, or Wednesday evening, wherever you are. But it's Wednesday afternoon here. It's just approaching 5 p.m. local time, and we are getting close to the final group, which will be our mod touring cars as we continue through open practice this afternoon. Yeah, so we have shared, and we've just had this confirmed in the chat, we've shared with you that you can find some timing at Speed Hive, but it's really difficult to work with, and unless you know transponder numbers, it's, you know, there's not a lot of, there are a few names, but not many, so there's some information there, but we haven't really kind of promoted it heavily because it's just not a lot of information. Timing is not being shared with us here, it's not being shared with us, we just haven't been able to book it into our systems yet. That will change from controlled practice tomorrow. We'll have full timing as you would normally expect, and full live timing will be available from the start of controlled practice tomorrow afternoon over at myrcm.ch. So this is TITC open practice style, what we've got going on in front of us. There is timing locally on the pits, and competitors can look up their own times at Speed Hive, but it's really not set up or designed for kind of broadcast timing. So apologies for that, folks. We just thought we'd share some footage with you from this session, talk through what's been happening here across the week. And what has been happening here across the week is a lot of drivers dialing in, almost 2 weeks, in fact now 10 days. Some drivers have been here preparing for the next 4 days, and the quality of driving performances out there already is very high. We're going to see some of the best drivers in the world over the next 45 minutes have their final runs for Wednesday's open practice. We've got at least 1 or 2 more groups of this boosted category before we get into our mod touring, and then we'll go into that category to wrap our day. So jump in the chat, tell us where you're watching from. We can see around 90 of you joining in for a little bonus content, a little preview, if you like, of what lies ahead. As I've said, my name's Scott Guyot, joining you on behalf of RC Race Media and Scotty Ernst Productions. I'll be your host this afternoon, and possibly a little bit of through tomorrow's controlled and seeding practice. Scotty Ernst will be live here with us from qualifying onwards. So the voice you've come to know and love so much, Scotty will be with us all the way through qualifying, 5 rounds of qualifying across Friday and Saturday, and all the finals action on Sunday. And we'll ramp up to our normal full coverage with driver interviews, pit walks, all the things you've come to know and love across the races that we've shared with you. All that lies ahead today, just a little bonus. A little bonus that we're able to bring you with the support of our partners, Rad Body, Hobby Wing, Sweep Racing Team, Savox RC Ride, and Speedy RC. It's the first time this race has been able to be live broadcast, and huge thanks to our partners. particularly Rad Body, in helping us be here in Thailand to share the stories of this race across the course of the next 4 days. So we're just going to pick up for half a lap here as the bell rings with Shinadachi in the red car there, a famous Kyosho designer here with a very small crew. It is a Kyosho car of some sort under that body shell. I haven't had a chance to chat to Shin yet as he pulls in. And you'll see, if you've not been with us, just how quickly the changeover happens. That's it. Just like that, the next group are out on track already. It's got to be 10-15 seconds from when the bell rings until the next group goes out. We continue with, I think this is still boosted. Let me see if I can spot some faces on the driver's stand. It is. This continues to be our boosted 13.5 category. So we're going on board with Zacchaeus Lamb here. Drives for Axon. I think I've got the right car. I have. So Zacchaeus, we first met over in Korea last October at the Asian On-Road Championship event at the incredible racetrack in Korea, in Seoul, Korea. And Zacchaeus was the winner there of the spec category, the 13.5 spec category. It was a big year for him. A couple of big... Oh, there's commentator's curse as Zacchaeus picks up. No, that might not have been Zacchaeus. I might have actually been following the wrong car there. Was not Zacchaeus, but whoever it was is now well and truly in the trees. I'll pick up Zacchaeus' car. Yeah. I just picked up Zacchaeus Lamb's car just as he went upside down. So it is absolutely a case of commentator's curse. A reminder, folks, just as we're not able to share timing with you, we also don't have access to timing here. So we're doing our best to kind of keep an eye on who's who. And so we're going to pick up with Zacchaeus Lamb now. I was just saying that he had won that Asian On-Road Championship event last October over in Korea. We saw Ronald Volker dominate the mod touring class, and Lamb likewise in the 13.5 spec category was really impressive across the course of that weekend. And has set his sights on a pretty big season in 2026, including a tilt at the World Championships over in China. It's a GDC, late March, early April. So Zacchaeus Lamb, a name to put on your books. If you've not caught much Asian touring car action, you might not have come across Zacchaeus, but a quality emerging talent, part of the Axon squad here at TITC 2026. We might see if we can pick up a couple of other cars to follow along with. So we're picking up Michael Stone, Australian X-Ray driver, part of the factory squad in Australia and the big X-Ray squad here at TITC. Stoney multiple times now an Australian champion across both on-road and electric off-road categories. One of the well-known members of the Australian RC community and a regular here at TITC. So we'll stick with Stoney for a couple of laps here, a little sideways there as he rides up on the curb. One of the really interesting features of this racetrack here at RC Addict are those curbs. You can see them, and in a sense, from this high camera angle, they all look to be similarly kind of shaped and profiled. That's actually not the case if you get down close to trackside. Some of the curbs are flatter than others, and you'll see drivers using some of the curbs and steering well clear of others, and that's partly to do with the profile of the curbs and partly to do with the way the grip builds up on those curbs. So there are some spots where the grip just builds and builds on the curbs. The curbs get almost sticky, and so there's a couple of spots where drivers want to avoid the curbs for that reason. There's other spots where if you can get two wheels onto a curb and accelerate, you can use that extra traction to slingshot almost. So we continue on board with Michael Stone in this 13.5 boosted category. As I said, this is the deep end of free practice here on Wednesday afternoon. We've had free practice going on here for the best part of 2 weeks. Drivers arriving from all across the world as they've been able, making a holiday of it. Some coming, bringing their families, spending a couple of weeks here in Bangkok. Incredible city, amazing people, incredible food as the bell rings out and this group rolls in. We do have at least one, I think it's one more group of boosted. Fantastic opportunity for us here at RC Race Media, Scotty Owens Productions, to bring you this. We've got our complete A-grade team here this weekend. We'll be covering all the post-race interviews. We've brought a very special camera operator with us for those post-race interviews. One of our absolute best. So really been able to bring our A-team to this. That's just a shout out for Chris Stanley in the chat. Chris is one of our team who's not been able to make it to this race. We love working with Chris, and we also love stirring. So that one's for you, Chris. Chris doesn't get out of bed for anything less than a world championship. That's the way it works. Folks, we're having a little fun here from RC Addict on Wednesday afternoon. It's just a little preview of what lies ahead over the next few days. I'm going to see who we can spot here. I think I spotted Adam Izay out on the racetrack, so we'll see if we can find him. So we're picking up X-rays. Adam Izay here. Absolutely one of the very best in the world in these spec touring car categories. And I think we can probably expect to see him moving into modified racing and being very competitive at the front of the field in that category as well. But for today, here in 13.5 boosted, the second class, the kind of spec class, it's kind of spec and kind of not. And deep here into free practice, Adam's car looking really nice. And he will absolutely be one of the contenders at the front of the field through qualifying on Friday, Saturday, and finals time on Sunday. It's been a stronghold here for Automatics. They won 4 of the last 5 editions of the race in this boosted category. Soren Sparbier breaking that stronghold last year with a win from Mugen. But before that, it was all one-way traffic. And how Adam would love to be a man to take a trophy in this category back home to the X-Ray factory. Got a little bit of traffic in front of him. We've been saying this is uncontrolled free practice. There's no race direction, there's no instructions, there's no calling traffic, any of that kind of stuff. It's really just up to the drivers to respect each other, to make room for one another, and you can see that's largely what's happening on the racetrack as Adam finds his way through and continues on his merry way. You can see him there starting to use a couple of the curbs. We spoke about that just a couple of minutes ago, about different curbs that are used and not used depending on the grip levels and conditions. That curb there through the end of that long right-hander is one spot where some drivers, Adam certainly on this lap, are using that curb. That is one of the spots to watch out for on the track actually, and we'll talk about this for a moment. I had a couple of drivers talk to me earlier about tyres kind of warming up through the run, and particularly in modified late in the run, you can see the tyres starting to sort of say that's enough. And the end of that long double, triple right-hander it almost is at the end of the back straight is one of the spots where we see that. So as we see Adam right there, as that corner closes and tightens all the way through, that's one of the spots you can keep an eye on cars deep in the run and perhaps start to see cars getting a little bit out of shape as the tyre temperature skyrockets and grip just starts to come out of the car deep in a run. We're continuing with open practice here. 13.5 boosted. I think we're just about ready to go into modified. I'm just looking down at the drivers queued up for the driver's stand. We'll see how we go, but we're not too far away from getting modified touring out on track. I did a little bit of back of the notebook calculating earlier. I think there are 12 or 13 different car chassis manufacturers here this week. I think potentially 9 or 10 of them have a genuine chance at being in the modified A final. That is how stacked the field is from a manufacturer point of view. It's incredible. Here's my list. You tell me in the chat if you think I'm wrong. Here's the list of manufacturers that I think that are here that I think can be in the modified touring A final. Infinity, of course, we can expect to see that they could have multiple cars in that touring car final. Automatics, of course. Axon, we would expect to see Akio Sabue, for example, right up there. Mugen in the hands of Ronald Volker and others. X-Ray, of course, Alexander Hagberg, David Ronnefolk and others. Express Racing in the hands of Yugo Nagashima. Schumacher, of course, Orlovsky, for example. Tamiya in the hands of Goto Sato and Tsushihara. They're an opportunity to be in an A final. And then there are others, the likes of ARC and Iris, RC Maker. An incredible lineup of manufacturers here, and a lot of them, perhaps 9 or 10 of them, with a genuine chance to make at least one car into the modified A final come Sunday. All that lies ahead of us, of course, as we get to qualifying. You tell me in the chat, who do you think are the chassis that we will most see at the sharp end? And the list, if anything, the list in spec is even longer because just about every manufacturer here has someone with the capacity to be in the final in the 13.5 boosted or 17.5 non-boosted classes. I was just thinking about the sharp end of the modified field, and I think there's 9 or maybe 10 manufacturers that could be in that A final on Sunday afternoon. We might be into modified now. I'm going to build over the next half an hour. It's the last heat of the day where we can probably expect to see the really big names, the Reinhards, the Orlovskis, the Volkers, the Matsukuras. They've generally been signing themselves up into the last heat. So if you just joined us, we're in open practice. Competitors able to sign themselves up into a race or a group within their category, and in a sense have a choice about whether they want to run at the start of the block or the end. This is the first group of modified touring. We're starting to see the speeds down the back straight up here in excess of 120 kilometres an hour. So we are coming to you at TITC, Thailand International Touring Car Challenge 2026, the 23rd year of the event, 24th year. 2003 we started, so this will be the 23rd year. We are in the northern suburbs of Bangkok at RC Addict Raceway. The race having been hosted here for the past decade or more across the long 20 plus year history of the event. This is the modified touring category. Open motors, open everything, you know the deal. Controlled, of course, in the sense of motor specification, size, battery capacity, voltage, those normal sorts of things, body, size, shape, widths, and so on. All the, you know the deal. But it is open horsepower. What is controlled both in this category and across every category here at TITC are tyres. It is a controlled tyre race. I believe the mod touring and boosted categories get 4 sets of controlled tyres across the weekend, with A final competitors picking up an extra set. The slower classes, less horsepower classes get less tyres, but in the modified category, I'll just fact check myself, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 sets of tyres for qualifying and lower mains, and 1 extra set for the main final. That is controlled, marked tyre sets that are used right through practice, through qualifying and finals. So the mod category using a sweep racing tyre with a TITC logo, so a special tyre for this event. No modifications permitted, and A main drivers getting 1 extra set from the organiser. So part of the strategy here is when to run tyres, when to run fresh tyres, when to hold on to them, when can you judge that you might be able to run fresh tyres against your competitors on used rubber and perhaps get a little advantage within a round of qualifying, for example, and then again across the 3A finals. Everyone gets 1 new set, and some drivers may choose to try and get through qualifying and save 1 or more sets of rubber from their allocation of 4 sets. All of that plays out in the strategy across qualifying and finals. Drivers do keep it pretty close to their chest, but we'll try in some of our post-race interviews across qualifying to find out a little bit about the tyre situation. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes we can see who's on fresh rubber simply by the car performance relative to those around them. That brings our first mod touring open practice group to a close. This is the final session for open practice here. RC Addict Raceway for TITC on Wednesday afternoon. As I said earlier, there'll be some more open practice tomorrow morning, only for the boosted and mod touring categories. All the lower categories we saw earlier, rally, front wheel drive, the non-boosted spec class, the Porsche Super Cup, the ladies class, all of those classes are done now until qualifying commences on Friday. We're going to, in a moment, we'll pick up a couple of drivers in this group to watch. There's a couple of notables in this group to have a look at. I'll just let everybody settle in. He's the blue one. So we're picking up Ryan Maker, Australian owner of RC Maker, who've come to the touring car category as a chassis manufacturer just in the last 12 to 18 months. The RC Maker SP1, their house brand Innovate products, also offering a whole range of option and tuning parts for a range of different cars, tools, all that kind of stuff. So great to have Ryan Maker here in the house, and a rare opportunity for Ryan to get on track himself. This car's been looking really solid across the course of practice today. We've watched him closely a couple of times. He's been looking really good. He's got a good squad here with him. Jeff Hammond, one of the other leading Australian touring car racers. He's in this group as well. Some rumours going around maybe about whether there's development parts on the RC Maker cars. I don't know. I don't know if I can say those things. No, probably not. I probably can't. But that is certainly Ryan Maker that we've just been following along with. We might switch over, see who else we can pick up. We go on board with Team Yokomo's Anthony Coretti. Small team from Yokomo here, but a rich history here at TITC for Yokomo. Regularly cars in the A final and past winners of the events. Oh, I say that and then think, have I spoken incorrectly there? I'll have to check my facts and figures. But certainly a front-running competitor across the history of touring car racing. They've been rebuilding their factory squad over the last 6 months or so, and Coretti is the team manager for the Australasian region. It's on board with him, the purple car here, down through that triple apex right-hander. Car just shaking its head a little bit at that centre infield section. You can see the shadow starting to stretch now from the left-hand side, almost reaching that centre hairpin as we get deeper into the afternoon, and the shadow is the sign of lap times to come. Typically the case here that lap times plummet late in the afternoon. We're in our final round of open practice for Wednesday. 3 more rounds of open practice tomorrow morning before controlled practice and seeding the race finally, as Coretti gets himself into the wall there in the centre hairpin. We go on board with JQ making a rare touring car appearance. Invisible Speed, Mayako, best known for his exploits in those two areas, but second time I think he's been here at TITC. Loved it so much. I chatted with him earlier about what he thought made this race so special. One of the things he said that makes it special, apart from all the obvious things, the best drivers in the world are here, the racetrack's amazing, the venue, the facility, the people, was the open practice that is available for days and days. So for a part-time touring car racer, for him the chance to come here for as long as he wants to, essentially, and practice and dial in, is one of the things that makes this race special and attractive to him. He's here with Pekka Ivanen, the pair of them, both running Shoemaker chassis under the Invisible Speed brand. As the bell rings out, and we'll follow JQ in to the end of the lap. It is a race that attracts competitors from all across the world. I think we've got about 3 groups left here of modified touring. Reminder that straight after the conclusion of this open practice session, we're going to go into a facility tour. We're going to take you all around the RC Addict facility so you can get a feel for what this place is like if you've never been here. You can see how jammed the pits are, how every square metre of the corner of the facility is used, all of that. That is at the end, immediately after the last group of modified touring in this open practice session. G'day Sam, shout out to you in the chat. Great to have you on board with us for a little bonus Wednesday afternoon content. We've said a few times across the afternoon, if you've just joined us, welcome. We were ready early, so we thought we'd share a little bit of open practice, a few insights into what's going on here at RC Addict ahead of things getting underway properly from tomorrow lunchtime. Delighted to have a few of you around the world joining in for a bit of a chat, getting a bit of a feel for the racetrack and the venue. We'll do that full venue tour right after the last group of modified touring wrap up their controlled practice this afternoon. I think there's maybe 2 or 3 more groups after this one. Let me see who I can spot. We can see who we can follow along with. We pick up with Yugo Nagashima, I think it is, from Express Racing. Nagashima, well known across the Asia Pacific, and with the small but powerful Express Racing squad here this week at TITC, just eases off there. Just pull over, looks like he's just making a little radio adjustment. I'm just looking at him on the driver's stand, just making a couple of changes to the transmitter. No, car's been picked up. Someone else just went into the garden. The racetrack's surrounded by gardens, and it's not unusual to see cars ending up in the garden. We're going to pick up with Italy's Shoemaker driver Mattia Collina there in the red and white running the race paint. Lots and lots of one-colour jobs out here, but Mattia running race paint this afternoon. He was running a one-colour job earlier in the day. Works really closely with Mikhail Orlovsky, does a lot of the wrenching and mechanicking and setup work on the Shoemaker platform. We know Shoemaker running a development car here this week ahead of the World Championship event. The MI9 has been so successful in the hands of Orlovsky and others, including Collina, across the last couple of years, and they're working away at the next iteration of that car. We're not able to show you the car up close and personal, but that's what we're led to believe, that they are running a development version of the car ahead of the World Championship in just about 6 weeks' time, and Collina will be right in the heart of that effort. He's got one of his other factory drivers in the form of Australia, Simon Nicholson, also in this group, also running that development car. I don't know if it has a name yet. If it does, we don't have it. The natural naming convention for Shoemaker would be MI10. We'll see if this car makes it into production. Lots of companies doing lots of development work, particularly at the moment with that World Championship just 6 weeks away. Collina, one of the drivers you would think would be a chance of sneaking in to that A final through 5 rounds of qualifying on Friday and Saturday. It gets a little bit sideways. Remember, we spoke a little while ago, if you were with us, about how deep in the run the mod cars in particular start to overstress the tyres, and at the end of this big triple right-hander at the end of the back straight, here we are, apex 1, 2 and 3. In the latter part of that third apex, the third part of that corner, we can see cars starting to get a little bit sideways, a little bit out of shape. For the very best drivers, it's just a little shake of the car. For those who are more of my skill level, it ends up with the car looping and ending up on the grass. Colliner obviously not at my skill level, but we saw his car just give a little shake a couple of laps ago. That is one of the parts of the track to watch. The other two pieces of the track I think are worth really keeping an eye on. This heavy braking into what we're calling this centre hairpin right in the middle of the track. There's a little kind of chicane, so the car's unweighted as it turns slightly right then left. Can be easy to get in trouble there. And then the very fast right left just after the start finish line as the next group rolls out here for controlled practice. There are some big names in this one. I'm looking down the driver's stand. I'm seeing Koki Kato. I'm seeing Alexander Hagberg, twice a winner here. Andy Moore, twice a winner here. I'm seeing David Ronifolk. I'm seeing Ishioka is there. Australia's Jesse Davis. This is quite the stacked category. There's cars in trouble here at the right-hand end of the racetrack. Body tuck, I think that might have been Davis. And David Ronifolk is currently upside down. Marshall gets to him now. So we'll get ourselves set here and go on board. We go on board with David Ronifolk. Yeah, that lap one tumble lost himself a lap or so while the marshals were trying to get out to him. Best known, of course, for his exploits in the off-road side of the sport, including an 8-scale off-road world championship, but has been doing more and more touring car racing with X-Ray since joining the squad a year or two back. I think this is his second visit here to TITC. I think he was here last year. We'll get a chat with David later in the weekend. But as open practice here on Wednesday at least winds down, nice to spend a couple of laps with him. The other one I wanted to pick up, and we'll find him in a second, is Alexander Hagberg, his X-Ray stablemate. So we're going to pick up with Hagberg in just a moment as he comes to the centre hairpin. So Hagberg twice a winner here in the past. One of the X-Ray, he just gets up on two wheels, bicycles off that curb. And that's a sign that the grip is starting to come as cars start to be a little more edgy. Traction rolling can come, and you'll see where that happened in the shadows. So the parts of the track that are still in the sun, and that's really now only a couple of turns on the right-hand end of the track. The corners that are in the shade, we're going to start to see traction rise, and we saw that right there as Hagberg just caught the curb. The car instantly flipping up onto two wheels. Reflexes from him catching. We go on board with Koki Kato now, the all-yellow Infinity driver. Kato, one of the drivers around the world who does just about every category going. He's been an Asian Buggy Championship race winner, Philippine Masters last year in 8-scale off-road. He's been in the World Championship final in Japan in 8-scale on-road. He was in World Championship final in Australia in 10-scale off-road. I think he made the final, one of the finals. Japanese star Koki Kato. We're watching him there, the all-yellow. He's been running race paint across the day, but coming out, perhaps trying a different body shell late in the afternoon. Let me see if there's someone else we can follow. It's going to grab Ishioka, but he's just pulled into the pits. So we're just going to do a couple of laps with UK's Andy Moore on board here in the all grey paint. Moore twice a winner here and a world champion. Did he win his world championship in Italy in about 2006, somewhere like that? Someone tell us in the chat if I've got that wrong. My apologies. I know a few things, but I can't remember all the world championships. But Moore certainly getting a win back in those days, and twice a winner here. Now lives here in Bangkok, or in Thailand at least. He told me earlier he's been here about 8 years or so. Fabulous to have Andy Moore, one of the true gentlemen and all-time talents from the touring car category, still with us. I ran through the list earlier of former winners of the mod class here and said that there are only 3 drivers from across the 20-some year history of this event that are not here with us this weekend. Fabulous to have Andy Moore. This, what I think will be second last grouping of mod touring winding down. And if you thought this heat was stacked, wait until we get to go with the next one. And a reminder to stick with us at the end of this open practice session. We're going to go to a full facility tour, give you a look around everything that RC Addict holds. Reminder that this is just a little warm-up, a little bonus content for you, a little Wednesday afternoon open practice session. We've got one group of modified touring left. Big thanks and shout out to Rad Body for helping us to bring you this coverage, joining us along with Hobby Wing, Sweep, Team Savox, RC Ride and Speedy RC. And the next group is out. Let me just roll off a couple of names for you here. How's Naoto Matsukura? 5-time world champion. You can see, you might be able to see him right down the far end. Akio Sabue in with the blonde hair there, standing next to the figure of Mikkel Orlovsky. He, in turn, is right alongside Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhardt, a couple of drivers further along. One Bruno Coelho. How's that for a lineup of World Championship winning talent in this last category? So we'll go on board. We'll look and pick up Mikkel Orlovsky in the all blue. He's been the man setting the pace and is the defending champion. As he works his way down the back straight, we'll grab him in a moment as he comes to the centre hairpin. Now the all blue of Orlovsky. He's been really quick all week. Famously, we have heard how he came here for the first time last year and did the unthinkable of winning first time out here at TITC. Common wisdom is that you need some experience here. We'll stick with him just for one more lap. There's too many drivers in this race, in this group we want to have a look at, so we can't follow Orlovsky for too long. But let me find the next driver we want to have a look at while he continues on his way. We're going to look and pick up Mark Reinhardt. So we pick up Mark Reinhardt now, multiple times world champion, has won this race only once in its history. Just goes to show you one of the very best, arguably the all-time best touring car racer, has only been able to win this race once. Just how difficult it is. Reinhardt has looked really good today. I watched he and Orlovsky in one practice run this morning. Over 5 minutes, the distance between them never varied by more than 5 feet. That is 5 feet over 5 minutes. It was an incredible run. Both of them devastatingly consistent and fast. And so we'll definitely see more from him across the course of the weekend. That is Mark Reinhardt. As we switch over and go on board with Ronald Volker, himself a past winner here at TITC in the All Aqua Yokomo pilot, Mugen pilot, was a Yokomo pilot when he won his World Championships, now a Mugen pilot and a big winner just a couple of weeks ago over at the European Touring Series. Dominant down in Germany, big win, and he comes here riding a wave of confidence. He was telling me earlier that confidence has stemmed ever since he did a big performance, took a clean sweep over in Korea at the Asian On-Road Championships last October. So that is Mugen's Ronald Volker. We go back 2 cars, Matt, when you're able, to the yellow and blue, the race paint. That's Akio Sabue for Team Axon. We'll stick with him for a lap or so until I can track down one Bruno Coelho. I found Bruno as well, so we'll finish out with a few laps with Bruno. So we pick up Bruno Coelho now. He's won this race 4 times. He and Atsushi Hara. I think Hara, I can't even tell if Hara's in this race, but we don't have time to go anywhere else. We're going to stick with Bruno. 4 times he's been the champion here. I think how many world championships has he won now? Something like 4 or 5. He's won in 10 scale off-road and in 10 scale touring, of course. He is the defending world champion, picking up the win over in the US in Bakersfield in California 2 years ago. We'll head to China in about 6 weeks' time to try and defend that championship. Came here 12 months ago with a prototype of this Infinity Speciale car that he had been working on. The car was brand new, not yet in production. They came and they ran in the public eye. They struggled a little bit with kind of figuring out what the car liked and didn't like. Now they have a full year under their belt with this car as we continue to follow him through that triple right-hander. and it would be no surprise to anybody if Coelho added to his 4 wins that he has on the board here at TITC when finals roll around Sunday afternoon. Absolutely one of the all-time greats in the sport, one of the only drivers who competes across multiple categories, just putting a temporary pause on his off-road exploits, on his 10-scale off-road exploits I should say, concentrating heavily on electric touring, a little bit of nitro and a little bit of 8-scale on-road as the bell rings. And that brings to a close open practice here at TITC at RC Addict. Stick with us. In just a moment we're going to take you on a full tour. While we get that queued up, let me remind you a little bit of bonus content for you for a Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for those of you who have joined us. This is RC Race Media and Scotty Owens Productions. I'm Scott Guyett. We've been bringing you the coverage this afternoon with Radbody, our principal partner, and the support of Hobbywing, Sweep Racing Team Savox, RC Ride and Speedy RC. The track will stay open. Open practice will go on. It will be entirely uncontrolled now for the rest of the afternoon. That is the end of control practice for Wednesday. A reminder, tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be back here for 3 rounds of open practice. 3 rounds of open practice in the morning for only the boosted and mod touring categories, and then 3 rounds of controlled and seating practice in the afternoon. So kicking off around 12:30, 1 p.m. local time, a round of control practice followed by 2 rounds of seating practice. That will set the qualifying grids. Qualifying getting underway Friday morning, where our full coverage will kick in. Scotty Ernst will be here with us. Full post-race interviews, all of that jazz kicking off Friday afternoon. But we'll be back live tomorrow afternoon for all of that controlled practice and that seating practice. For now though, thank you for joining us. We're going to roll into our tour of the facility. If you've never been here to RC Addict, stick with us for a look around this incredible facility. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. It's been a delight to spend a little time with you. A little bonus content coming to you on Wednesday afternoon. On behalf of our team here at RC Race Media and Scotty Owens Productions, thanks for being with us this afternoon. We'll roll that tour now, and we'll see you live back here tomorrow, Thursday lunchtime. Bye for now. Friends, wherever you are in the world, welcome to the arena. This is RC Addict Raceway, home for TITC 2026, this extraordinary race. This is our Monza, our Indianapolis, our Bathurst, one of the most incredible circuits on the world of RC, and this one of the most incredible events. We're here for TITC 2026. My name's Scott Guyett, here on behalf of RC Race Media and Scotty Owens Productions. Today, Thursday, Wednesday, we're going to take you for a tour around the facility. I want to show you what makes this place extraordinary, what's going on here as open practice continues in the lead up to this weekend. Over my shoulder you can see the racetrack here. We're in the northern suburbs of Bangkok, just about 40 minutes out of the CBD. This venue here, RC Addict, has played home for the race the last 10 years or so. It started life in 2002, just around the corner at RCS, home of the 2008 World Championships. And since then it's moved around a couple of spots, but it's been here at RC Addict for the last decade or so. Extraordinary facility. You can see, you can get a sense of the arena almost setting here with the stand, and we'll go and take a look at that in a moment. You can see the track surrounded by banners. What you can't see on the screen, but we can tell you, is the grip is incredible. It's hot, it's 35 degrees, something like that, nearly 100 in Fahrenheit. So it's hot, it's sticky, it's muggy. The best drivers from all around the world are here. We're going to take you for a little bit of a look and show you around this facility here at RC Addict as we work our way into this event. All here along the left-hand side, all of the hobby stores. So 3 different hobby stores selling everything and anything that a racer could need to go fast here at RC Addict. We've got food vans out on the street. We'll take you for a look at those a little bit later on. It's not just a racetrack, it really is a village almost with stores. We'll take a look inside one of the hobby shops here, FRC. Got all sorts of bits and pieces on sale here, and as I said, this is one of the 3 venues, 3 hobby shops in the venue. There's offices, there's private pitting areas, there's all sorts of things we're going to have a bit of a look at. There's food and drinks available here, and I said we'll take you out on the street shortly and show you the street food. It's really just a suburban street here in Bangkok. As I said, we're about 40 minutes north of the CBD, and it is just a suburban street. There's a KFC across the road, there's an indoor golf simulator next door. You take 2 steps off the street and you're here right in the middle. Come with me, let's take a walk through the pits. We won't stop and chat with people at the moment, because today we just want to show you around and give you a sense of what's going on. So as we look around, just to your left there, that's where racers are checking in and buying merchandise, t-shirts and so on. We've got the brand new TRF 421X on display over here as well. We might see if we can get you a shot of that. So it's all business today. It's Wednesday, we're in the last day of open practice, and racers are checking in from around the world, getting tyres and tech sorted, and of course dialing in. And that's where all of the tyre sales and so on happen, down here on the left. Back around over my shoulder is the tech area, so racers needing to come and check in and tech their cars today, make sure that electronics, batteries, chassis, there's lots of classes here, and we'll talk you through some of the different classes. They have very particular rules. So this is where racers come and get checked in for tech. And then just before we go into the pit area itself, we'll give you a quick look behind the scenes of, this is the control practice board. So racers are given a numbered token, they come on in and nominate a spot on the board here, and that's how the free practice works. It's been working 9 days, 10 days, something like that. Someone was telling me yesterday they've been here. One of the things that makes this race so extraordinary is that the track is open all day, every day. The lights go on in the evening, practice continues. Racers have literally been here for up to 10 days already, and we're not even officially underway yet. So we'll take a walk down through the pits. We've got all the pitting teams down here, so we'll try and pick some out. We've got a Hobby Wing squad here, first of all. On the left, one of the motor and power companies doing some support. Then we've got the big Infinity team. Plenty of talent in that Infinity team. All sorts of skills and potential. Bruno Coelho, 4-time champion here at TITC, of course, leading the charge in that team. Andy Moore is here as well. He's a 2-time champion and a past world champion as well. I just had a look at the board, and what I can tell you is that there are only 3 former winners of the mod class in this event that are not here. That is an extraordinary kind of statement about how much this event means to the racers who come and race here. We've got Axon here on the left, and then down the far end is Team Yokomo. And then on the next table we've got Automatics. All of the big teams from all around the world are here. The pits are abuzz. They've been abuzz all day, every day. And I've only mentioned modified touring, of course. There are 6 or 7 classes. We've just got to kind of barge our way through here, really, don't we? On the right, we've got Team Mugen and LRP. Working hard. They're Ronald Volker on a high after taking the win at the Euro Touring Series just a couple of weeks ago. Then we've got some of the Express team over here on the left down the far end. There's more of those guys around the back we'll see in a moment. And then we've got a big team X-Ray as well. David Ronafolk's here, of course. Adam Isay's here. Martin Hoodie's here. Alexander Hagberg, twice a winner of this race, is here for X-Ray as well. Just doing some work there on body shells. There's a lot of experimentation that's gone on over the last week and a half, and body shells just one of those fine little details that goes into winning this race. So that's the X-Ray squad. If we swing around to the right, we'll spot the Team Titan. So a good crew there from Team Titan. And then we'll take a quick duck in here, and this is the kind of probably a bit too noisy for us, but cleaning bays, cleaning stations, compressed air and water and so on. So racers making their way back in here. Anyone that's grinding tyres, those kinds of things can all happen in here. It's one of the classes here, the Tamiya Porsche Cup local class running the Tamiya. I think it's the TAO2, as we take a quick squiz out into the surrounds of the racetrack as practice continues. This is one of the lower spec classes that's going on, practice going on here. I think I said there are 6 or 7 classes. The modified class, of course, we all know. Just about every other class here is unique in a sense to either to this race or to racing in Asia. We've got the boosted class, which is brushless 13.5 turn motors, choosing from a range of motors and then free in the speed control. So those cars boosted almost as quick as modified, hitting 100 kilometres an hour down the back straight. We continue to work our way here through the pits. We've just got the last of the X-Ray squad on our left. And then we get down into the lower pit area. One of the things that amazed me when I arrived here yesterday at RC Addict is how every square metre of this place is just used. It is packed. So anywhere there's a spare bit of shade, there's a pit area set up. We'll go and show you some pit areas that didn't fit on the facility that are out in the street. But this more of some of the Australian squad are here on the left. We've got some more of the Express. Oh look, the Australians have brought some little personal air conditioners with them. That's not right. If you're Australian, you shouldn't. No, they might not be Australian. They might have come from the Northern Hemisphere. We've got Team Express down here as well. I counted up before, I think there are 10 or 11 chassis manufacturers with a genuine chance at making a modified A final here this weekend and express one of those. I'll go through the list in a couple of minutes. We've got a small squad from Team Iris here as well, down from the Northern Hemisphere. Cars being worked on, tyres glued. As I said, last day of open practice today. Mr. Shinadachi's here with a Kyosho shirt on. We'll check and see if we can find out if they're running a Kyosho car a little bit later on. And then we're going to have to duck outside, I think, because we're not going to fit our way through that very tightly packed area of the pits. I said that we're just here in a suburban street, so that's it. We literally just step out of the pits and we're into this laneway. You're not allowed to paint bodies inside the pit, so we've got a little... you never know what you find out here in the laneway, but this is where body painting happens. We'll duck back inside. We won't kind of push our way back in, but Team Shoemaker are in here on the left. Mikulovsky, Mattia, Polito, Simon Nicholson from Australia. We won't go too close into there. We've been asked not to show some of the cars that might be seen on tables. And then Tamiya here. So Team Tamiya running the new 421X with Atsushihara as a guest driver this weekend. Now you might think that is the end of the pit area. You would of course be mistaken. Come with me, we need to go upstairs. You get a lovely shot of my calves as we go up the stairs, because that's just level one of the pit area. And in fact, Tony can scan around and give you a sense of just the buzz, the energy, the noise that's going on around the place. We're looking down over Team Infinity here. Naoto Matsukura, 4-5-time world champion, I think he is, across a couple of disciplines. Jesse Davis from Australia, part of that squad as well, making the move to electric for this year. And then we look back over to the merch and tyre area. We're upstairs now on one of the upper levels, and what we find up here is a whole lot of private pit spaces. So racers can, I guess in a sense, rent these places, and some of these rooms are extraordinary. They're all set up with all kinds of tooling and equipment, and we'll see if we can just knock on a door here and poke our nose in. Can we just have a quick look at your private room? We'll give you a quick look. So this is kind of typical of what's up here. So there'll be half a dozen racers pitting in here. They can leave their own gear all here all the time. It's beautiful, it's cool in here. We might stay in here, Tony, I reckon. It's pretty nice in here. So it's a bit tight up here, but you can see how long this hallway is. And this is what... Okay, so this side on your right is a new addition in the last couple of years. I think the rooms are all fairly similar. We might take a chance and just poke our nose in one more of these. Hello. Have a look, and you can see bodies hanging on the wall, all kinds of equipment, and the guys just tucked away up in here, their permanent home here at RC Addict Raceway. Incredible facility. The air conditioner is blazing away. Again, I think Tony will just relocate up to this private pit space up here. Got their own timing screen, keeping an eye on things. Orlovsky, fastest of all so far, just ahead of Ronald Volker this morning, that is. So we'll keep going down. There's pit rooms either side of us here. You never know what we might find if we poked our nose in behind some of these, so we won't do that. We can't see into them easily. And this facility just goes on and on and on. And then we'll duck around to back towards the track now. There's another little space up here for lockers, so racers can keep their own equipment here during the week if they want to rent a locker and keep that all locked away. And we can look back down over the pit. So we've just walked from one end to the other. We've been in those private pit rooms that are along the right-hand side, you can see there. And now we're down what would be the western end of the facility, looking down over Team X-Ray. And then we come to another whole row of pit rooms. These are marked as VIP rooms. So I think some of these are available for rent, and some of the companies have rented some of these rooms for the week. I know Mark Reinhardt's in one of these rooms up here. I think that's his room there, but I don't see him in there. So we won't probably go barging in looking at things that we shouldn't perhaps look at. So yeah, there's 4 or 5 of those VIP rooms. Infinity have one of them. I'll have a quick look in there to the Infinity guys. So this is and you look at the view out over the racetrack. So it's an incredible location to spend the week here, wrenching, working, preparing, and looking straight out over the racetrack here, the western end of the racetrack. And we'll take a look at that track in a moment. The facility it's just an extraordinary place. It just goes on and on and on. Like I said, every square metre is used. And we're coming around now to what is the driver's stand. And you can see drivers out on track practicing and queued up. There's a whole scanning in kind of entry system here. So when you come and sign in for the race, you're given a scan card and attach that to your radio. You come and bump that on. Here's one. Here's an example. So that's how you get in. And like we said before, we showed you that whiteboard downstairs where drivers are booking their practice times. In here on our left is race control. So that'll be a hive of activity over the next couple of days. 14 drivers at a time up here on the driver's stand during practice. That means we can get through a whole bunch of races over the course of the week. Oh, there we go. We'll follow Ludo in for a quick look at race control. So again, this is where the magic happens and will happen over the course of the week. The guy's just getting set here today, making sure everyone's entered and we've got all of the details. We'll go and get out of the way there. There's a few other things I wanted to show you while we're on this tour. So we'll head back downstairs. We might duck around into the pit lane area as cars are going out on track for practice and coming in. Practice here just running like clockwork. Every 5 minutes the bell rings, drivers pull in, leave the driver's stand, the next group go immediately out. So 30-second changeover at the most. It's an incredibly well-oiled machine in that regard. And so this brings us trackside here, and we've got the next group of cars ready to go out. This is the non-boost spec class. So these are running a 17.5 turn motor that we'd be familiar with, although not necessarily off any approved list. There's a bit of an open range of kind of what would you call outlaw motors. Motors have to be from sponsors of the event, so there's a list of about 5 companies that sponsor the event who provide motors for this class. And they're also using body shells that are off a short list of body shells. So they're Tamiya. We might see if we can have a close look at one of those cars. I'll borrow your car for a sec. So there's a whole range of about 4 or 5 different body shells. There's a Porsche, this is a Honda CRV, I think it is. There's a Nissan Skyline, all sorts of things that are on the controlled body list for this non-boost class. We'll have a closer look at that over the course of the weekend. But just one of the support classes here alongside the headline modified and boosted brushless classes. There's also rally cars, there's front-wheel drive, there's a ladies' fun class, these big wheel kind of crazy things. So that's trackside, you can get a feel for it. We face to the north here, and so the sun is over behind the building. This front straight stays in the shade all day long. And then as the afternoon progresses, more and more shade comes across the track. So by about 4:15 local time in the afternoon, the track is in full shade, and it becomes what is known locally here as happy hour. The grip comes up, the lap times go down. That hour or two from 4 o'clock onwards through till about 6 is an extraordinary kind of period to sit trackside and watch. It's getting a little noisy in there. We'll go back. I just want to show you a couple of other things as we kind of almost at the end of our facility tour. Like I said, it's almost like a shake your head kind of crazy thing that's going on here. 8-9 days worth of practice. There's still another half a day today and a half day tomorrow of open practice before we go into seeding. I said we took 2 steps off the street to get into the track, and I'm about to show you exactly what that means. Before we do that though, remember I said every square metre of the place was used? Here's the footpath being used. So for this event, the guys bring in we'll go down the end here and stick our nose in. There's about half a dozen of these air-conditioned site sheds that are available for rent. So there are drivers, groups of friends who've got together and rented a shed, and then some of the manufacturers have rented a shed. We'll just stick our nose in here with this shed full of friendly Australians. Oh, and one friendly Englishman, Tom down in the corner there. So this is the kind of what's going on inside, air-conditioned, nice shade out of the way, out on the street here. Not a bad spot. So there are about 6 of these site sheds because such is the size and scale of this event. No matter how much of the facility is used for pits, there just isn't enough space. And we're going to finish by saying we step straight out here onto the street. We try to be careful not to get run over. And here we are, literally 2 steps off the side of the track. We're out here on the street. All down to your right, my left are local food vendors. I'll come and I'll show you what I had for breakfast this morning. So an extraordinary collection of like amazing Thai street food, freshly made to order. And then over behind there's KFC and there's corner stores just down the road and so on. I had the red Thai curry this morning for breakfast. Doesn't sound like a normal Australian breakfast, but it was pretty good, and this is right where it's cooked. I went for this one up here, the number 3 on the list. Can highly recommend with the poached egg on top, and all the cooking just going on right here. So there's so many things about this race that people love. The track is amazing. The best racers in the world come from all over the world for this event. That's incredible. The location here in Thailand, there's something kind of special about being in Thailand, being here. We'll just go back quickly trackside and finish off this little story. So yeah, being in Thailand in the Mideast, the Asia Pacific kind of area, there's something special about that. The food is amazing. The price, the travel is relatively affordable. And one of the other racers said to me this morning that, yeah, so as we look at the building, we'll just take one quick look up the stairs. We won't go up there. Actually, we will. I'm going to finish up here because I want to show everybody something. So upstairs here is the Thai headquarters of Ride RC. They've provided space for us for the week. So their offices and facilities are up here. But I want to show you one special thing that's just inside the door here. As we look outside, I want to show you this wall of championship bodies. So we'll just pan around here and you see if you can see what sort of bodies you can see of past TITC winners, past world champions. The likes of Mark Reinhard, Atsushihara, Andy Moore, Surakan, Alexander Hagberg. It's just a great collection of body shells here as we kind of share something of the history and the story of TITC. We're going to duck through and go out, give you one last look at the racetrack. I'm going to squeeze past the boys here in the office. We're all recording. So it's one of the homes for some of the media teams. RC Racing TV are here. And then we get back out trackside. It's like a rabbit warren, friends. If you've never been here, it's extraordinary. I've been here 24 hours. I'm still shaking my head at just how much is packed into this facility. It is an incredible race that's ahead of us over the next 4 days. It's almost impossible to pick a winner. There are only 3 past winners of mod touring. I think I said this a few minutes ago, that are not here. So in the 23-year history of this event, there are only 3 people who've won it that are not here this weekend. The field is incredibly deep. We're 6 weeks out from the World Championship. This is already the most important touring car race in the world of an annual basis, but when the Worlds is just 6 weeks away, it makes this event even more important. That's in the mod touring class, of course. The boosted, at 13.5, extraordinarily fast. The non-boosted touring cars are going to be there. The Porsche Super Cup, we talked about those Tamiya cars. The rally cars are so much fun to watch them drifting and sliding and wheel spinning. I've heard rumours there's a jump that comes out for the rally car class. We'll see about that. Welcome to TITC 2026. Big thank you to Rad Bodies who've come to help support us getting here. To Hobby Wing who are there with us. Sweep RC, Team Savox, Ride RC or RC Ride as I said, and Australia's Speedy RC. All working with us here at RC Race Media and Scotty Ernst Productions. Scotty will be here on the microphone from Friday onwards. We look forward to sharing the whole weekend from open practice through all of the qualifying to Sunday's incredible finals here from RC Addict for TITC 2026.